Inside the Egghead Island arc in One Piece is nestled a stretch of chapters some like to call the Hachinosu Incident, which features some of the series' most beloved characters going up against the poster antagonist of the show, the Blackbeard Pirates. But what most people don't realize is that in this very stretch of chapters, we are given an inkling of what could very possibly be the start of Blackbeard's grand objective of taking over the entire world. And I'm here to explain exactly how he plans to do it. This all starts when Blackbeard is explaining why he captured Captain Kobe in the first place. I'd go out on a limb and say everyone was just as surprised as I was when Blackbeard said the reason was to use him as a bargaining chip to turn Hachinosu into its own fully fledged country. Why would Blackbeard, a pirate of all people, want to turn his base into a fully sanctioned country under the world government? Well, before we talk about why he wants to do it, let's talk about how he plans to do it. If Blackbeard wants to accomplish this weird goal, he first needs a leg up on the world government. The top dogs over at Marijua are obviously not going to let a pirate as heinous as Blackbeard become the ruler of his own kingdom. And Blackbeard knows this, which is why he pounces on the opportunity to kidnap Kobe during the incident at Amazon Lily. I think Blackbeard's goal in the incident at Amazon Lily was truly to get Boa's Devil Fruit, but then the opportunity for something even grander that he'd been wanting, a bargaining chip against the world government, appeared right in his lap. Although we don't know much about the Rocky Port incident, we know that Kobe helped to navigate negotiations on Hachinosu between Law, former Rocks pirate Wang Zi, and the Marines, earning him the title of Hero. Not only is Kobe's reputation from this event alone enough to make Blackbeard think that Kobe could serve as a useful leg up on the government, but this incident also allowed Blackbeard to seize control of Hachinosu in the first place, so I think it's pretty safe to say Blackbeard has been keeping his eye on Kobe for a very long time. So now that Blackbeard has Kobe, he can move on to the next step in his plans, which is what? Well, let's hold our horses for a second, because to Blackbeard's demise, Kobe is a member of SWORD. Aokiji points this out to Blackbeard pretty bluntly, stating that even in the event that Kobe gets captured, which he now is, because of his SWORD status, the government is ready to cut ties with the Rocky Port hero at a moment's notice, meaning he won't work as the bargaining chip that Blackbeard had hoped he would. But as we all know, luckily for Blackbeard, an even more powerful bargaining chip was about to land in his lap again. Enter Garp the hero, who trusts the future of the Navy so much that he'd start a spontaneous raid on an Emperor's home turf just to save their figurehead. Fortunately for Garp, he accomplished his goals. The future of the Navy was saved with Kobe and co. leaving the island safely. Even more fortunately for Blackbeard, however, Garp was not able to leave with them, getting captured in the process by his former pupil, Aokiji. This leaves Blackbeard with possibly the greatest bargaining tool against the world government you could ever ask for. Garp is known to be the hero of the Navy who saved countless celestial dragons at the God Valley incident, and more importantly, he is not a part of SWORD. The government has to save face by showing they care about Garp and can't just cut ties like they can with Kobe. Not to mention, the man is insanely strong. Garp is not someone that the government wants to leave captive to one of the worst pirates in decades. And with that, Blackbeard can now turn Hachinosu into its official nation by offering up Garp as a bargaining chip to the world government. So why would he want to do that anyway? Well, when you think about it, there's only one thing that every world government-sanctioned country gains access to in the One Piece world that Blackbeard would be interested in, and that is access to the Reverie. As we all know, the Reverie is the event that takes place every year at Marijua, where all the kings from around the world sanctioned by the world government come to meet and discuss politics. I think it goes without saying that Blackbeard probably doesn't want to engage in slightly uncivil political discussions about trade routes and mermaid slaves, so the more obvious answer that comes with access to the Reverie is access to the land of the gods itself, Marijua. Now, right now you're probably thinking, even with access to his own country, there's just no way they would let Blackbeard, one of the Yonko of all people, into Marijua just for free to attend the Reverie. Unless, what if there was an extreme authority figure so high up in the ranks of the world government escorting the Blackbeard pirates that not even the celestial dragons could deny Blackbeard entry to the Reverie? Could Blackbeard wiggle his way through to the lands of the gods if this was the case? I think so. And right about now, it's time to remember that Blackbeard's crew has a shapeshifter who now, after the Egghead Island arc, has shapeshifting access to Saturn, a former Gorosei member. You could make the argument that because Saturn is dead, the celestial dragons would know something is up almost immediately. But let me offer you two pieces of explanation before we jump to that conclusion. The first is that the death of Saturn was 100% kept a secret from the rest of the world. Not only would it cause immense panic amongst an already starving celestial dragon population to hear that one of their supreme leaders was killed, but it was also done by Emu themselves, whose existence is an extremely well-kept secret. All of the people in charge of the reverie would treat seeing Saturn as if it was actually the man himself and not Conrita Devon shapeshifting, because they don't know that Saturn is dead in the first place. The second point is that the Gorosei don't have immediate oversight over the reverie, so they wouldn't immediately foil the Blackbeard pirates' plans either. The Gorosei obviously know of Saturn's extinction, so they would definitely notice an imposter Saturn walking straight into Merijois, but the Gorosei don't take part in the reverie. We know this because in the previous reverie, Cobra, before his death, has to request an audience with the five elders and is taken pretty far from the main site of the reverie to meet with them. The Gorosei don't even get instant updates on the state of the revolutionary raid during the last reverie on the Holy Land while it's literally happening. This would mean that Blackbeard and his crew could easily use Katarina Devon's ability to have a fake Saturn escort them all the way up to the Holy Land of Merijois without any issue. So Blackbeard has now convinced the world government to give him his own country and has weaseled his way all the way up to the top of the red line. What's next for him? Now, there are countless things Blackbeard could wreak havoc with in Merijois, but I've narrowed it down to three possibilities that make sense for his plan to take over the world. The first is the secret treasure in Merijois that Doflamingo speaks of in Dressrosa. Although we aren't aware of what it is or where it is, I wouldn't put it past Blackbeard in all of his worldly knowledge to know exactly how to access this secret treasure to help him take over the entire world. The second, a little more ambitious this time around, is to take out Emu and steal access to the Mother Flame, and then in turn acquire a working Uranus ancient weapon. Blackbeard is number one of the suspects to acquire an ancient weapon in all of One Piece considering his destructive tendencies, and with a weapon of this caliber, he really wouldn't have any trouble in taking over the entire world. Or the third option, simply seizing the empty throne and becoming the king of the world. This option implies that Blackbeard doesn't really know of Emu's existence and is simply chasing after the same glory that Rox was in becoming the world's king. After all, Blackbeard's ship is called the Saber of Zebek, and he clearly takes inspiration from the legendary pirate. But I actually think a fourth thing is going to happen, one that becomes a lot more evident when you look at the past of the story. To be honest, I don't think any of those three possibilities I just mentioned are going to happen. I don't even think Blackbeard is going to make it to Merijois, let alone get his own country. And I believe all that thanks to some foreshadowing related to a man I just mentioned, Rox D. Zebek. Like I said before, Blackbeard obviously takes inspiration from Rox. His boat is named after him, he's one of the most dangerous pirates of the new era, and he wants to rule the world just like Rox did. But Rox failed. He lost at God Valley and his name was erased from history, and thanks to two members of his former crew, we actually have an inkling of how that happened. Kaido and Big Mom seem to be on the exact same page when it comes to pirate betrayals, often stating how inevitable it is in a crew full of powerhouses. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Rock's crew fell at God Valley because of a betrayal, as Kaido is insinuating, and the exact same thing is going to happen to the modern day Rock's pirates, being the Blackbeard pirates. Why else would Oda repeat the theme of betrayals in a powerful crew so many times in the story if it wasn't going to happen again? As for who's going to betray him, my guess would be Aokiji. I think Aokiji will eventually realize that his morals are definitely misplaced with the Blackbeard crew, and he's likely going to free Garp from Blackbeard's captivity before Blackbeard has the chance to negotiate anything with the world government. Aokiji was in complete opposition to Akainu after all, and we know that Akainu's not the greatest person, so we know that Kuzan is not the total villain that he's making himself out to be throughout the entire Hachinosu incident. This means that Blackbeard's grand plan to enter Merijois and seize the power to rule the world will topple to the ground at its very roots, a betrayal exactly like the one that took place at God Valley in the Rocks Pirates. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, maybe Blackbeard won't get betrayed and he's actually going to succeed, or maybe Blackbeard's main goal isn't to take over the world and it's something that I completely missed. Either way, I'm going to make an effort to read everything you guys have to say, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Until next time.